Hey guys, today I'm gonna be putting together and setting up my new computer setup. So this is the full-size tower, computer tower I'm gonna be using. This is a Thermaltake Core V71. Let's open it up. So let's open it up. The toolkit that I'm gonna be using, putting everything together, is of Amazon. Basically, just a full screw bit kit with all sorts of sizes and types. Here's the inside. Already has a big fan in the rear and two big ones in the front as well, behind the mesh. So the first thing we're gonna install is the power supply, because as I read online, if you plug it in and have it turned off, you can ground yourself with it by touching it once in a while, so you lose that static energy that can damage some products. The power supply I'm gonna be using is the Corsair RM 1000 watts gold. +80 gold. That should be enough for everything that I'm installing. So what you get in the package is the power supply, of course, power cord cable, and all the cables you need to connect to the motherboard and all other various things you install in your computer case. We're gonna start by installing the power supply and the cord, and the power supply is gonna go here, so this is probably in the way, this bracket, so I'm gonna take that out. Bracket out, and then we're gonna slide this, so the fan is supposed to be turned down, so it's gonna go like this. Then you need to put 4 screws to hold it in. And these screws came with the power supply in a small package with the plastic straps, which we're gonna use to do cable management later on. Here are the 4 screws. Take them and install them loosely. There we go. And then we need to put the bracket back on it because it's to support the power supply. Right there, put it under the end of the power supply and put the two screws back in to hold it in place. Go back to the rear and tighten up the screws that hold the power supply in place. Now that all 4 are tightened, have the switch on 0 turned off, and then we can take the power supply cord, connect it here, and then connect the power supply to electricity. Now that the power supply is in, connected, turned off though, we can touch it to ground ourselves because it's grounded in the wall, and then we can continue, and you just touch the power supply once in a while to lose the static energy. So next up we're gonna install the motherboard, which goes here. The motherboard I chose for this build is the Asus TUF Gaming X57 Pro with Wi-Fi. Comes with some brackets. Also some trim around the back where you install it, and some cords for power and such. Screws for installation, a pad if it's touching somewhere, certifications and user guides. And it also has a big fan up here. We could maybe add another one later on. Alright, so the motherboard screws in here. So there are screw holes here, 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 there, and down there. So I'm gonna remove this bracket just so I can more easily get close to the motherboards. And this is 3 screws on the back, 1, 2, and 3. So before we fasten the motherboard, we're gonna put this trim right here. Just pushes in like that, and then we can put the motherboard in. Just like that. Now that the motherboard is in and ready, it's time for the next step. Next step is CPU, the processor. I went with an AMD Ryzen 9 5900X. Here we have installation instructions, the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X CPU, and a sticker. Nice. Then you need to line up the pins. You can see there are different pins and one is different, so you put it there, and then you can slide this down again. Now the CPU is installed. It's time for the next step. The CPU I chose to go with is the Noctua NHD15S Chromex Black. It got really good reviews, so I'm expecting very nice results. This had two boxes in it. The big box has the cooler, and the other one has brackets, and also the thermal paste we need to put on here between the CPU and the cooler. This is a massive cooler. The cooler comes with complete instructions. So the first thing it asks us to do is to remove the stock fasteners to install the Noctua ones. Remove. So I loosened the stock connections, but I think they fell down. So I'm gonna take the back plate off here. It's just two of these screws. And there it is. This should go right here when I screw the new thing in. So as it says, it's two spacers each side, then the brackets here, and then the screws. So the screw bracket in the back, the spacer, this. Now I can just put the spacers here and new bracket. I'm not gonna fully tighten them, just almost. But before we put the thermal paste, I need to take the fan out from the middle because the bolts to fasten the brackets, it's underneath the fan. It's pretty easy, it's just bracket here on each side. And then you just pull it out from the middle. And now it's like this, clear way to the screws. So the instructions say four points that are like around 2 millimeter near the corners, and then plus one dot in the middle, which is 3 to 4 millimeter diameter. I take the lid off the thermal paste. So after the thermal paste is on, we remove the plastic cover, see if there's any residue. Then we tighten these up before we put the cooler on. Not too tight, because you don't want to damage anything. And then it's time to put the cooler on. Gently tighten the screws on each side. Just till they're tight. Don't over tighten them. And then it's time to reattach the fan. Like this. CPU connection is down here. It's, if it will focus, it's the one here. Next up, I'm gonna install the SSD M2 I bought, 1 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro. Small thing. So to install the SSD, you have to put a spacer for this motherboard before you put the screw. So the spacer goes under here, and then the screw comes here on top, otherwise it's on too much angle. And like everything else, don't over tighten it. Just like this. Next up is the memory. I have two memory slots that I'm gonna use, so this is the recommended pattern. The light gray, the gray ones, install these two there. Unless you have four, you can use all, or if you have one, just use this one, but I have two, so I'm gonna use the gray ones. The DDR4 memory sticks I chose were from g.skill Trident C Neo, and it's 2 times 16 gigabytes, which adds up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. So you open it up on this side. Slide it in and close it. Open it up. Slide it in first here, and then slide it there and close it. Next up is the graphics card. I decided to go with TUF Gaming GeForce RTX 3070 Ti. And that's gonna slide in this slot, which we open up like this, and then I have to take the bracket away so I can screw the graphics card in. Here it has a cover, and this is gonna go here. So we need to take these two away to fit it. Then we can take this plastic off. All the plugs are covered. locked into place. Then we put the screws. Now that the graphics card is in, then next things up is just to wire all the computer from the power supply and to the motherboard. Just connect everything. Now it's time to open up this pack of cables and connect everything. I connected the back fan right there, which is this fan connection here. This one here is the motherboard. Connects from there to the back of from here to the back of the power supply. And the USB panel connects to one of the USB connectors here on the motherboard. There we go. Right here. Then we connect the audio right there. Right here. Then there's this USB 3 guy. He goes here, right there. Now I'm going to install the second SSD right here. So I first have to install the spacer right here. Then the card. Now that everything is in the case, it's time to connect the screen. Now it's time to open up the screen that I'm using. So it's a gigabyte 34-inch ultra wide. we shall connect it to the graphics card and to electricity, and then see if we can turn it on. So after downloading the BIOS update onto the USB, so you put the USB where it says BIOS, then hold this button for around 3 seconds. If it blinks 5 times and is solid green, then it did not start and something is wrong with the USB thing. But if it blinks 3 times and then starts blinking a little bit rapidly and then just keeps going like this, you wait till the green light stops blinking and then it's ready. With Windows install USB, of course. After the install, I turned on the computer with Windows USB installed, and then we just install Windows and go through that. So I've also decided to put a second fan on the CPU cooler, just to make everything more fresh inside. So I'm gonna put the cooler over here and connect it to the motherboard. Connect it to the motherboard fan connection here that says Japan 2. So I got these extra clips, came with the CPU cooler, apparently to put another fan on, I hope. So I'm gonna install the fan now. Now we are up and running. Blue LEDs in the fans, so I made the LED in the GPU and the RAM blue as well to match. Everything is looking good.